The medbay lights of Outpost Grey hummed softly as the human soldier stood still, his arm resting inside a clear tube. Dark red blood flowed steadily through the line, crossing the invisible boundary between species. The alien child on the nearby bed was small, thin, and pale in a way that spoke of failing strength. Machines beeped in a slow, uncertain rhythm. The soldier's name was Eli. He had arrived at the outpost 2 weeks earlier as part of a quiet security rotation. The station sat at the edge of explored space, a place where trade routes thinned and laws softened. That was how refugees ended up here. That was how the alien mother and her child had arrived, carried in by a freighter crew who did not know what else to do. The child's species shared many traits with humans, but their blood chemistry was dangerously fragile. An infection had spread through the child's system, and the local medical stores lacked compatible plasma. Synthetic substitutes failed within minutes. The doctors were running out of options. Eli had been standing guard when the chief medic asked the question no one else could answer. Would a human donor survive the transfer? No one knew. The risk was not small. Alien enzymes could trigger shock. The blood might fail entirely. Eli listened, nodded once, and rolled up his sleeve without another word. That was how he ended up here, watching his own blood save a life that was not human. The child's name was Kira. Kira's eyes fluttered open as the transfer completed. Color returned slowly to her skin. The machines changed their rhythm, steadier now. The medic let out a long breath and stepped back. Eli felt lightheaded but remained standing. He had trained for worse than dizziness. What he had not trained for was the sound that followed. Resonant cry echoed through the med-bay. The alien mother fell to her knees. Her name was Myra. She was tall, with silver-gray skin and dark eyes that reflected the room like glass. Her people were known travelers, bound by ancient customs older than most star charts. Eli knew none of that when Myra pressed her forehead to the floor and spoke words that the translators struggled to keep up with. A life was given, she said. A life was saved. The debt is sealed. The medic tried to explain. The station commander tried to interrupt. Myra did not look up. Eli shifted uncomfortably. He had helped because it was right, not because he wanted anything in return. He opened his mouth to say so, but the translator spoke first. By our law, it said, a bloodsaver binds a life. The mother of the saved must repay until balance is restored. The room went silent. The commander cleared his throat and asked the obvious question. What does repayment involve? Myra finally rose. Her gaze locked onto Eli, not with fear or demand, but with something heavier. Responsibility. Protection. She said, service truce until the debt is ended. My life answers as Eli blinked. That was not what he expected. Around him, the tension shifted. Fear gave way to confusion. Days passed, and the outpost adjusted to its new reality. Myra refused to leave Eli's side unless ordered. She learned human routines quickly, memorizing schedules, watching corridors with sharp awareness. When Eli stood guard, she stood with him. When he rested, she waited nearby, alert even in stillness. Some laughed quietly. Others whispered. Eli did not. He saw how Myra listened before acting, how she studied human customs instead of forcing her own. When a trader tried to intimidate a dock worker, Myra stepped forward, her presence alone enough to end the dispute. When alarms rang during a pirate scare, she moved without hesitation, guiding civilians into safe zones with calm authority. Eli realized was not symbolic. It was absolute. One night, as the outpost drifted in artificial dusk, Eli finally asked the question that had been building. How long does this last? Myra considered him carefully. Until your life is safe, she said, or until mine is spent. Eli felt a chill that had nothing to do with space. That's not acceptable, he replied. I did not save your child so you could throw your life away. Myra tilted her head. You misunderstand. I am not lesser because of the debt. I am focused. The words stayed with him. Trouble arrived sooner than expected. A mercenary group breached the outer docks during a supply transfer. Drawn by rumors of unregistered tech, the outpost defenses activated, but the attackers were skilled and desperate. Blaster fire tore through corridors. Emergency lights flared red. Eli moved as he had been trained, directing evac teams and holding choke points. Myra stayed with him, not hiding, not hesitating when a blast collapsed part of the ceiling. Myra shoved Eli clear, taking the impact across her back. She did not cry out. She rose, injured but standing, and continued fighting. Eli dragged her into cover when the threat finally ended, in the medbay again. Roles reversed. He watched doctors treat her wounds. Kira slept safely nearby, unaware of how close the universe had come to changing her future again. Myra met Eli's eyes. The debt remains, she said softly. Eli shook his head. No, today. You paid it. She studied him, confused. My life is not equal to yours. That, Eli said firmly, is where your law is wrong. Word of the battle spread beyond the outpost. Reports reached distant systems. Stories followed, carried by traders and pilots. A human gave blood to save an alien child. An alien mother stood between a human and death without question. Other species took notice. When representatives arrived weeks later, they asked about the life-debt tradition. They asked about humans who acted without expectation of reward. They asked why a soldier would risk himself for someone he had never met. Eli had no grand answer. It was the right thing, he said. For many civilizations, that answer changed everything. Treaties shifted. Aid programs formed. Life-debt traditions were rewritten, not erased, but balanced with choice instead of obligation. Mira and Kira left the outpost months later, free but not distant. Before she boarded her ship, Mira placed her hand over her heart and bowed. "The debt is ended," she said, "but the bond remains, if you allow it." Eli smiled. Among the stars, the story spread, not of power or conquest, but of a species whose greatest strength was giving, even when no one was watching.